Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All righty. Welcome into a Friday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Man, this is going to be a huge show. We got breaking news to get to. Will Florida State be starting their third string quarterback? And could that be a good thing for the ACC championship game? We'll have the latest on that. Tom Block, sideline reporter for FSU, will join us at 11:30. We may have some other guests chiming in on that as well. We are going to talk some Rays baseball as they continue to piss off as many Rays fans as they possibly can. We'll get into that. Nick Geddes is chomping at the bit to get there. It is a winner-go-home game for Todd Bowles. No question about that. And in my mind, anyway, it ought to be. We've got the Bolts last night. Nikita Kucherov is the greatest giver and taker in hockey. No question about it. But the good news is it's an easy fix for the Lightning, in my opinion. Will Justin Fields be the next Buccaneers quarterback? That's something that's being kicked around. So is that enough for you, Nick Geddes, this morning to chew on? We got enough topics to hit, my friend. What do you think?
I love having it. I love good morning to you. Glad to be here. We always have a lot of topics. And look at me today. I dusted it all off. I literally had a big dust bubble on this pullover here from being in the back of the closet since the the end of September or October, early October, whatever it was. But you know what? The Bucks
How did the season end? I forgot. It's a little foggy.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about it.
I don't
want to talk about it.
Did the playoff games actually happen? Because nobody really showed up.
They tell me they happened, but I'm still not sure yet. I think we have a game coming up.
I don't even remember the scores of the game.
Right.
First
but
one
you know
was
what?
Kind of close, and the second one was a blowout.
Yeah. But you know what? At the moment, the Rays are still the most successful franchise going right now in Tampa Bay because the Bucks have lost 6 of 7. The Lightning are on their second 3-game losing streak. So you know what? I dusted it off. We're looking towards baseball season, apparently. I guess that's what we're doing on December 1st.
If I'm buying futures of one of these three teams, it ain't the Rays. It ain't the Rays. No freaking way.
Well, it certainly.
As the Bucks look right now, and I'm going to say that, I won't say as bad as the Bolts look right now. I don't think they played that poorly last night or at all in this 3-game losing streak. But we'll see where that goes. I think we got to begin with Florida State because this is breaking news. I woke up this morning to my ex-afire, Brock Glenn, their third-string quarterback, 4-star redshirt freshman, who was offered by all the major programs, including, oddly enough, Ohio State, who he will now be playing. Well, the word is, and I've got a lot of tentacles out on this, trying to get some information, and I'm getting different feedback from different people. The word is Brock Glenn has gotten a lot of snaps this week in FSU practice. The media not allowed to watch the practice, so they don't know, at least that part of it. So if you're not up to speed on this, Tate Rodemaker, obviously Jordan Travis gets injured. He's out for the season. Tate Rodemaker comes in the Florida game, gets a double targeting call, 2 cheap shots on the same play. Only the Gators can pull that off. And his eyes rolled back in his head. If you were watching the game and you saw the close-up, his eyes went cuckoo, and they went back in his head. Now, Brock Glenn comes on, camera pan to this kid on the sideline, and he's starting to warm up. He's got this big chew in, and he's chomping at the gum, and he's like, let's go. And the word is on this kid, and Norvell talked about him earlier this week, that he's got a ton of moxie. He's got that Baker Mayfield moxie. And everybody, I've talked to some people about Brock Glenn all this week, and, you hear the same thing. Kid is special. Big kid, can run, can throw. We've seen him a little bit here and there. There was a throw over the middle in one of the mop-up games where he just hits his back foot and doesn't even step into it, throws a frozen rope about 35 yards right on the button down the middle of the field. I think I retweeted that one today. The kid's got skills, but he's never started a college game in his life. Okay, kid, go in, win, put the whole season on the line, go do it. But the feeling I get is from the people that know this kid best, if anybody can kind of go into that situation and not feel like it's too big a moment, it's Brock Glenn. And Nick, I know you're young, but you've been around sports enough to know that there are these guys and there are other guys. And these guys, they can do it. And they step up and they just don't fear the moment. You're just either wired that way or you're not. And if you watch the game on Saturday, it looked a lot like Tate Rodemaker is not wired that way. I'm trying to be as objective as I can right now. He was just not ready. And I must say, I will put the Swamp in the top 5 of most intimidating places to play in college football. I think that's fair. It is absolutely suffocating. It is right on top of you. Those fans are bananas. The sideline's like 10 yards wide. I mean, on the bench, it's so confined, and it is loud. 90,000. It's so, if Tate wasn't up for it in that pressure-packed situation, season on the line against your biggest rival, most of us would pee down our leg, including me. Okay? Most of us would do that. So I don't think I'm saying anything terrible about Tate Rodemaker right now. But if this comes to pass, and we don't know for sure, okay? Now, we'll say this. The betting line went from 5.5 FSU favorite to 1.5. So the Sharps know something. If he's getting all the reps in practice, which is not, I haven't heard all of them, but I've heard he's getting a lot of reps in practice. This information has gotten out there, and it's going to get out there, especially to the people who really need to know. So my gut feeling tells me, I don't know if Brock Glenn starts, but I think there's a very good chance that he's going to play a lot in this game. And I think, and this is just gut feeling and talking to people about Brock Glenn, I think that's the best thing for Florida State. I do. We'll see.
I mean, I can't sit here and tell you that either situation is ideal necessarily.
Oh, God, no. I love to have Jordan Travis.
I mean, obviously you want to have Jordan Travis. I mean, at the end of the day, Brock Glenn is a true freshman who has seen, the field against North Alabama and 2 plays against Florida or whatever it was. Yes, he looked composed and all that, but this is the ACC championship. And I know it's not going to be as hectic as an environment. And I'm trying to pull this up because it's interesting how this could affect the game. And I'm usually not the guy to look at weather and all that, but
yeah,
tomorrow is going to be one of those cold days where it's supposed to rain all day in Charlotte.
Cold and rainy, yeah.
And this is personally, this is silly. This is a gripe I have with the ACC. Every other conference game is indoors, under a dome. We're going to showcase the best product that we have, and we're going to make it completely even. And now the ACC is going to continue to play in Charlotte, where it seems like the weather is always hit or miss. And tomorrow it's scheduled to be ugly and rainy, so it might be one of those muck it up games. That doesn't
First
really.
Week in December seems like it's always bad in Charlotte.
It's goofy. Like, this is why the ACC it's goofy sometimes. So that's not ideal. What I will say about Brock, my goodness, that dude can move.
Yeah,
he offers something with his legs that Tate just simply doesn't, and that's kind of the thing that scared me last week with Tate, was he looked like a deer in the headlights sometimes, where he was just holding on to the ball.
Wouldn't even run
entirely too long.
Yeah.
And you can't do that, especially with FSU's O-line, which I think has been a little inconsistent here down the stretch.
Yeah, their top 2 tackles, the right and left tackle, are out, and they're not coming back.
It's just going to be interesting because Jeff Brom's a hell of a coach. I mean, what he's done with that Louisville team in year 1, I mean, this guy can coach his ass off. And Louisville's got some guys there. And from a defensive standpoint, they know what they have to do. You have to limit Trey Benson.
Right.
And so that's the thing that's going to make it tough, I think, for this FSU offense is we obviously know how they have to win. Louisville knows it. It's going to be, can you get Trey Benson going? Which I think sometimes, like, it almost seems like he needs the reps to get going a little bit.
Yeah, he does. He does.
It's kind of been like that, I think, majority of the season. And then you're going to have to resort to the one-on-one balls with Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman and hope that those guys make those plays. I know it was only one game. I didn't see a lot of connection with Tate Rodemaker and Keon Coleman.
No.
It looked a little off.
At all.
He had more of a connection with Johnny Wilson, by the way.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't surprise me because go back to last year when they faced Louisville, Tate Rodemaker had to come in for Jordan Travis. And
played great.
Yeah. And by the way, contrary to what some people on a network want to tell you that Louisville won that football game, this is a real thing, JP. Joel Klatt on his show yesterday, I'm listening to it, his preview, and he goes, now Louisville, they beat Florida State last year at home. And he put a graphic up and everything. And I'm like, can we get the information correct? Florida State won that football game. Tate Rodemaker was starting, and he actually played really, really well. And if I recall, Johnny Wilson went off in that game. So let's get that straight.
did he start or did he come in? I think
No,
Tate
he came in because Jordan got hurt.
Right.
Tate came in, played tremendous.
He was
terrible early
on, and they really picked
tremendous in the second half, and him and Johnny had that connection. So if he's out there, that's something to watch. That clearly, to me, is the guy that he's most comfortable with. But if FSU is going to win this game, bottom line, you've got to put up more than 224 yards of offense.
That's right.
You can't do that again. You cannot do that again like you did against Florida and expect to get away with a win.
And that's it. This is a good Louisville team. And this takes us to the next conversation, and that has been going on all week. And I'm even myself, I've vacillated back and forth on this. Is FSU, I mean, did FSU look like a playoff team in the first half against Florida? Hell no. They did not. In the second half, yes, they did. Yes, they did. And that's what they've been doing all year long. Pay attention to all, Kirk Herbstreit, you're better than this. Paul Feinbaum, you're not. You're just a honk. SEC honk. But other, Joel Klatt, like, come on, guys. You guys know football. You know teams that play in the second half and make second half adjustments, keep their guys fresh, shut you out in the second half. That's been the recipe for FSU all year long if you watch the game, and they live on big plays. Big play, they have explosive playmakers, and they live on the big play and beating you up defensively and wearing you down. That's how they win games. Now, I'm sorry, I haven't seen the committee. Is there anywhere in the rule book that says you have to win by offense only, or we're not going to look at you?
Yeah, and that's the thing. The defense on this.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why has nobody mentioned the FSU defense? Now, have they
games with defense in the second half? Right. That's
correct.
Like,
okay. Have they played the most prolific offenses? No. In a weird way, Jack Plummer's not great. Okay, Jack Plummer is probably average, above average, right? He's probably the weak link of that Louisville team.
Yeah, Louisville quarterback, yeah.
But in a weird way, Jack Plummer is actually one of the best quarterbacks FSU has played this year. When you go up and down, the FSU's gotten very fortunate. They've been able to play some of their backups and things like that.
Remember,
not taking anything away from
Jaden Daniels. Let's make
I'm not taking anything away from that.
Winner, yeah.
Right. My point with the FSU defense, they haven't given up more than 20 points in a game since September. Okay, against Clemson when they gave up 24.
Yeah.
Okay, this FSU defense is really, really good. So I disagree with the fact that FSU, because of their quarterback situation, just is playoff ineligible. As much as I think if they get into this playoff and they have to face Georgia, it could get ugly. I mean, they still, in my opinion, if they go 13-0, that's to me earning your right to get in.
If they win, they're in. If they win, they're in. I've sampled enough opinions nationally and from the committee. And Boo Corrigan, my old buddy from FSU days, he used to be an associate AD at FSU. We've partaken in many an alcoholic beverage back in the day. And I don't want to, I'm not here to say anything. I haven't talked to Boo in years. I haven't. But I know this. He understands what Florida State has done this year, and the committee understands what Florida State has done this year. And anybody who's ever played the game understands. And I was listening to the Jeff Cameron show, War Chant on 3. All you guys do a great job up there. And Jeff was making the point. The game's got to matter. The games have to matter. Eye test your ass off. I don't care, Kirk Herbstreit. You can eye test your ass off. The games have to matter. And if you win every one of your games in a Power 5 conference and you go 2-0 in the SEC and none of those games are on your home field, shut up. Shut up. You win. You have earned your right to the playoff. And you could sit there and say, oh, Paul Feinbaum says, oh, Vegas would have Alabama's a 14-point favorite against FSU. Really?
You're
out of your mind.
I didn't realize we're supposed to decide playoffs based on
against USF.
Yeah,
okay?
I didn't realize that we decided playoffs all of a sudden based on point spreads and things like that. And I actually heard Paul Feinbaum talking today on Get Up, and he said that we don't need another TCU.
Oh my God!
Last time I checked, that TCU football team. I mean, look what they did to Michigan. They scored 50 on Michigan, big bad Michigan, and then ran into right now the greatest, the borderline dynasty. If they win another championship this year, they'll definitely be a dynasty then. Yeah. They just ran into a superior team that just throttled them, and that happens. But
if he thinks FSU would lose by 14 to Alabama, he's a moron and a homer. That's just a stupid take. That's stupid. But again, FSU. How many draft picks did TCU put into the NFL from that team? 2 or 3. This FSU team has. Yeah, and
the thing is,
8 or 9. Okay,
listen. We're doing it right now. We're taking the bait. And I've been trying to just stay away, but you know what? Sometimes it picks at you a little bit. But it's important to remember. And by the way, I love these guys for various things, okay? I just don't like the rhetoric that's coming out with Florida State, and I don't think it's consistent with other teams like a Washington, for example, that is playing with close
completely
games.
Inconsistent.
But, like I said, they've earned their way, and they're not the important thing is they're not the committee. Kirk Herbstreit is not the committee. Paul Feinbaum's not the committee. Joel Klatt's not the committee. Heather Dinich is not the committee. I go on and on and on, okay? At the end of the day, the committee still has them as the number 4 team in the nation. Yep. They've pretty much proved at this point that if they win out, they're going in. That's all that matters. Now you got to take care of business. You've gotten all this way. They've won, 17 games in a row going back to last year, which think about that. 17 games in a row. That's hard to do. I don't care who you're playing. That's right. That is incredibly difficult to do. They deserve credit for that. But now you got to go finish it off. You have to finish it off.
And I'm not here saying that they're going to definitely beat Louisville. They have to take care of their own business. There's no question about that. And if they don't, then they're not worthy. As my friend Danny Cannell said on a little piece he did earlier this week, if you're not good enough, a loss will find you. They'll find you. And, it's been close a couple times this year for FSU, but it's been close for every one of these contenders except Michigan, who plays nobody. And when they played somebody, those games were close. So everybody plays close games. The teams that can win every single one of them, those are good football teams. Those are good. I don't care if it's by 2 or by 10. Yeah. It's good football teams. If you win them all, you're a good football team. So enough. We'll see. All right, let's move on. We got lots to get to. Shout out last night to Tampa Bay Lightning, Hockey Fights Cancer Night. Tremendous night of tears and cheers as we mourned the ones that we have lost, like the Big Dog and Chris Thomas. I made a sign for them last night. And our survivors like Drew Garabo, and all of you who fight and fight the good fight. It's just a really, really fun night. Great stories of Mikhail Sergachev going down to this kid, this 10-year-old hockey player's house who just got diagnosed with cancer and can't play hockey this year. Great player, great young player. And he goes down there and plays street hockey with the kid for like an hour. It's just like shows up at his doorstep, totally unannounced. I just love the fact that Lightning do stuff like this. And there's, Vasi did the same thing. All these guys, the superstars, they do these things and they put smiles on kids' faces. And it's just, man, it's awesome. And I think, the Lightning just continue to show they know what the hell they're doing. And they know. And it's not just to get fans, it's because it's the right thing to do. And they are relentless in their community involvement. And that's why they've sold out 375 consecutive games or whatever the hell it is. It's not, and yes, it helps when you win. It helps when you have a nicely located stadium. And it helps when you really, really take care of your fans and pay attention to your fans. All that helps. But a big part of it is their philanthropic efforts. And it was fun to see last night. So shout out to everybody. Greg Wolf, all my Lightning Vision team that just, again, executed to perfection. Another great theme night that has a lot of emotion to it and raises a lot of money as well. So wanted to get that out there for sure. As for the game, the Lightning lose 4-2, come out. Kucherov is fantastic in the first period, gets a couple of assists. Probably should have had 4 or 5 goals. Tristan Jerry was amazing last night. And the Lightning in this 3-game losing streak have faced 3 goalies that have been stood on their head, including Connor Ingram in Arizona. So they're getting shots. They're created, so many opportunities last night. They had high danger chances, 15-12, scoring chances, 32-25. Analytics says they should have won this game 70% of the time. They didn't win it. Tristan Jerry gets a freaking goalie goal with the empty net. It's just one of those nights. I ain't pushing the panic button, and this is not some type of crazy discussion, but it's just real. And in my Brian Engblom said this last night. The reason Kucherov makes a lot of mistakes is because he has the puck so often. He controls the puck so much within the game, not only just on his stick time-wise, but just the flow of the game. And yes, 2 of his back passes and silly passes and careless turnovers ended up in the back of the net last night. Again. But that's fixable. That's fixable. And it's not like, and every time he screws up, nobody helps him. Like nobody. It just seems like it ends up in the back of the net every single time. It's kind of like, it's like Josh Allen. It's like he can, lead the league in touchdown passes and also interceptions. and he's not getting a lot of help from anybody. But he ain't the problem.
He's the leading scorer in the entire NHL right now with 39
he's the leading
points.
scorer in the NHL.
I'm going to direct my issues with this team elsewhere.
Yes.
And this is crazy where we are right now. Remember that, like, for like 5 years, the Lightning, you would never see them lose 3 in a row. It just would never happen. This is now the second time this year they've lost 3 in a row. And we're like, 24 games in?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think about. And this is, again, another example of, for anybody that thought, and myself included, I'm guilty of this, I thought when this team got Andre Vasilevsky back that it's just a mentality thing that, more just having him there, like maybe this team would
got your swagger back.
You get your swagger back, but clearly there's deeper issues with this team. And we're at a point now where, and Cooper kind of said this last night, we can't keep saying like, oh, it's early and this and that. It's game 24. And at this point, you have to start looking at every game like a playoff game or you're not going to get there. I mean, that is the reality of the situation at the moment. And what's alarming about this team, and like you said, they played the first period last night. I can make an argument was the best period of hockey they played all year long. And Stamkos said that. They were
17-5.
Yeah, they were all over them. Were smothering them. They kept their stars quiet. Our guys were going good. And then sloppy play. It's just sloppy play throughout the game. And I think they had 3 bad turnovers that turned into odd man rushes last night. And it's Sidney Crosby. It's Evgeny Malkin. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, when you give those guys prime opportunities, those are 2 of the greatest players of all time. They're going to score. They're going to score. I don't care. Even on Vasilevsky, I don't care who the goalie is. And what's a little alarming about this team, JP, how the offense has to carry this team right now, they are 0-7-2 this year. They have not won a game where they have not scored at least 3 goals.
Yeah.
The old way of the Lightning shutting teams down and being able to play whatever style of hockey, that has gone away. They have to score 3 or more goals at this point to win games. They're 10-2-3 when they score 3+ goals a game. And like I said, 0-7-2 when they score under 3. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't get any big of a difference than that right there. So it's starting to get a little alarming, I think, at this point. You're like waiting for this team to like get it, And it's so uncharacteristic for this team right now with all the guys and all the experience in that room. And you look at it, your stars are doing your thing. Kucherov's playing well. Braden Point's playing well. Hagel's playing well. Stamkos, Hedman. Like those 5 guys right there are carrying, they're doing their part. And for whatever reason, nobody else seems to be able to pick up the slack right now. And then these careless giveaways, I mean, you get nothing from the defensive. I mean, 4 of your 6 defensemen haven't even gotten on the goal sheet yet. I know they're defensemen, but when you have 4 of your 6 not doing much, and I think Sergachev only has like 2 goals included, I mean, you're just not getting production up and down that lineup outside of those 5 guys on a consistent basis. And that's great and everything, but look at the margins. Their margins right now are so small.
Yeah.
Just to win hockey games, like I said, and I think these numbers prove it so far.
Yeah, as Brian Engbaum said last night on our last call show, the bottom 6 are just not getting it done. I mean, look who scored the game-winning goal last night for Pittsburgh, Jeff Carter, 100-year-old Jeff Carter. Their 4th line had the winning play. Where's our 4th line? They've shown up in bits and pieces, but they have not been a presence. The 3rd and 4th line have not been. Their point totals are just, I think they're. God, he gave the numbers last night. There's such a stark difference in percentage, and it's got to be better. It's got to be better. So, yeah, Kucherov is doing his thing, and he's going to have these screw-ups. Now, I will say this. I think even Kucherov knows that there's, he's got to start, as Cooper said last night, would you make these passes in the playoffs? No, you wouldn't. He goes, we have to start playing like these are playoff games, as you mentioned. I think Cooper – I think it's one of the underrated things about him. He comes in. That's why I love listening to his press conferences post game. He always hits the right note. And even within the dressing room, and he gave us a glimpse into this last night. He said, I went in there and I said, guys, the speech that's coming, right? It's coming, right? And they're like, yeah. He goes, yeah. He goes, I'm not going to give it. I mean, you know what the F's going on here. I can't, Yeah,
it's just at some point we have stop? That's what I'm saying. Like they know what's going on. They're a veteran group. They've seen everything. at some point you just got to go out and do it. And you can't keep continuing to say, oh, it's early. Like, I mean, it's one thing to say it's early when we're like 5-10 games into the season, like I was saying, but now we're getting to a point where we're like a third of the season through. Yeah. It's like, we got to start picking it up here. And again, the Atlantic is a lot tougher. It's a lot tougher out right now. And at this point in the season, the Lightning sit, I think, outside a playoff spot all of a sudden. It's very tight behind Boston right now in that Atlantic. So you have to get going sooner rather than later, because you don't want to have to be, reaching for points in February and March and April, and being almost desperate at that point. You've got to start getting those now.
Because you're going to have to jump over a lot of teams.
You're going to have to start jumping over a lot of teams,
don't have
correct.
Any, you're not going to have 3 or 4 teams like Montreal and, the 3 or 4 teams that are just terrible, that you're going to get 80% of the points on when you play them. It's not happening this year.
And with all that being said, can we stop doing this after every time the Lightning lose a game? And even if it's, a disappointing one like last night, I understand fans are emotional, but I said this a couple weeks ago. I'm going to say it again. Stop. You're an unserious fan, okay? And I'm getting it out today, but stop calling for John Cooper's head.
This is stupid.
You're ridiculous. I'll say it again. John Cooper, if you fired this guy, there would be 31 other teams that would be gladly looking to hire that guy. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely
good teams
ridiculous.
Firing their coach to get him.
Yeah, I'm tired of seeing that segment. And again, this is Twitter. People can say whatever they want on that platform, but just please stop. Just stop.
It's silly. It's silly. And people could say, well, the message is getting stale. No, the message is correct. It's not the message to getting stale. It's the effort. And this is the thing about hockey that I've learned. It's so much about intensity and focus. And you guys, even though if there's something that you really want to get done and you got to get it done right, you have this focus level and intensity level, whatever it is, right, that you do in your daily tasks. And you're like, really, okay, I got to get this right. I got to do this right. Whatever you're doing, it's a level of intensity that picks up. And then there are other levels of intensity that we go through the day with that, and then we make stupid mistakes, right? It's no different for these guys. It's just on the ice at a higher level and everything's televised. So, and that's what they're doing. They just don't have that intensity. And that's why Cooper last night in game 24 played the playoff card. He said, look, guys, we got to start playing like it's an intensity of a playoff game. Yeah, I know it's a long season, but you had a nice rest this year. You got a nice off season. There's no excuses. You did it 3 years in a row. Get off your ass and start playing like I know you can play and hold each other accountable. This is where, and so I think he hit the perfect note with it. And I do think this team is going to get better. I do think their best hockey is ahead of them. I think this is maybe the moment that they needed or what have you, but with Vasi back and they know what they did. This is an easy fix to me. Okay, we know what the problems are. Stupid giveaways, lack of intensity. You're not burying the puck right now. That'll change. You're creating tons of scoring chances.
If you keep peppering these goaltenders, I think that eventually you're going to get on the right side of those results.
Of course. So this is an easy fix. This is not a team that lacks talent. This is not a team that lacks a goaltender. This is not a team that lacks a coach. This is not a team that lacks anything. This team has everything it needs to be successful. Are they a Stanley Cup lock? Hell no. But they're in the mix of teams, I think, that can compete at a high level, and they've got championship pedigree, and they know what it takes in the postseason. That's a huge advantage, but you got to get there for God's sakes. And they got to pick it up. They got to pick it up. It's just that simple.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to what time is it? We need a break. Let's hit a break here, and then we'll come back with the Rays. I'm just the last. I can't say it's the last straw because I know 10 more are coming. Right up your ass. They just don't stop trying to piss people off. And maybe this one is not to be blamed on the Rays specifically, but they've done enough. So we'll hit the Rays when we come back. Another complete gaffe on their part to piss off fans. We'll get to that. More college football. We got Scott Carter coming up at 11 o'clock, FloridaGators.com. Tom Block, FSU sideline reporter, will join us at 11:30. Maybe some other surprises here. We got to get to the Bucks as well. We'll do that in this next segment. Is this win or go home for Todd Bowles? That's a yes for me. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Scott Jeeves is local, has a Tampa and St. Pete office. Give him a call, jeeveslawgroup.com. Back in 3.
coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
All right. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Brought to you by the great folks at the Patio. The Championship Saturday is going to be crazy there at the Patio, so get there early. Big Florida State watch party at 8 o'clock. SEC game, I think, is at 4 o'clock. So, yeah, get on over there. They're going to have specials for all you dudes and ladies there. So it's not just a Gator bar, folks. Big FSU bar. They've been hanging out, actually taking over the place, if you want to be honest. Sorry, Gator fans. It's just, I know it's a bad time for you, but it'll come back. It always does. It always does. But head on over to the Patio and enjoy the ACC championship game, all the championship games on Saturday, and then Bucks game on Sunday as well, 4 o'clock, all your Sunday tickets. Don't worry if it's on Amazon, whatever the hell it's going to be on, they'll have it on at the Patio. Great place to watch all the games, outdoors or indoors. Take your pick. Beautiful weather. Super time to get there. And it's not, these stuffy sports bars with $17 beers, folks. Prices are great. Staff is fantastic and always fun at the Patio.
Don't forget tonight, too, by the way, Washington, Oregon. We got Les with a Friday night championship game. And that's the one I'm looking most forward to, that one, other than the FSU one.
Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix going at it. I think Jaden Daniels has this wrapped up, but if one of these two guys has a really, really special game, they could surpass.
Yeah, I think Bo Nix is very well positioned to take that.
Yeah, but man, Jaden Daniels' numbers are so much better.
Yeah, if it's a straight numbers award, it should be Jaden Daniels, and it's a wrap. But
plus, I mean, I hate to be SEC biased, but Jaden's done it against a much tougher schedule than Bo Nix has, and Michael Penix has. I mean, I like to be a homer. We've never had a hometown kid win the Heisman Trophy. I think the closest we've ever had is like 8th at best.
Yeah, I honestly think he's out of the running, Penix. I don't think he's played that. His high mark moment was that Oregon game earlier. Don't think he's played as well.
No,
since that. I think it's between Jaden and Bo.
Yeah, I would agree with that at this point, unfortunately. But he'll probably be the highest finisher in Tampa.
Yeah, he'll get to the ceremony, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, so I want to get into the Rays a little bit. Let's do Bucks first before we go Rays, because Bucks is much more timely. Levante David and Devin White may not play this week against the Panthers. Whew. Just Levante missing the game is bad. Devin missing the game improves your defense. So slightly.
Ouch.
Ouch. So I'm looking at this Panthers team. They're awful. I know. This Panthers team is awful. I mean, Bryce Young is not good. He's got no weapons to work with. The offensive line is not good. They've got no running game. They got Adam Thielen is their only freaking weapon. Weapon. He's a great player at one time, not so much now. I think he's averaging like 9 yards a catch as a
9.5 a catch.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. That's not a weapon.
And their second leading receiver is rookie Jonathan Mingo, who has 28 catches this year for like 200-something yards.
It's bad. Panthers defense, meh. You can't lose to this team. Of course, we said that last year when they beat 21-3? They beat the Bucks. New coach, traded McCaffrey, traded DJ Moore, and they literally dusted the Buccaneers and Todd Bowles. So this game's at home, like his job's on the line. There's no way they can lose this game. If they do, you cannot allow Todd Bowles to continue to coach the team. You just can't. You're sending a message to your fans that you just don't give a crap. And I know the Glazers have never done it. Hey, there's a first time for everything. I know that people will say that it's not. What does it really do for you? Well, it sends a message to your fan base if you keep him on that you accept mediocrity. You're okay with mediocrity. I think is mediocrity even. I think it's too good of a word. Yeah, I think it's too good of a word. 7 against this schedule. Yeah, if you lose 7-8 and you lose to the Panthers, my God, and even if you beat the Panthers, the seat doesn't get any cooler for me, to be quite honest. It doesn't. So, I mean. Is this a winner go home for Bowles? Damn right it is. And that shouldn't even be a hot take. And I said this yesterday. I'll repeat it quickly. At this point, you don't need to be making personnel decisions about this season. I'm sorry. One game out, blah, 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 blah. I've seen the way this team plays. And without Levante David, they can't beat anybody. The defense is atrocious. It's atrocious. Teams get whatever they want, and doesn't matter who you are. This team's not going anywhere. I just don't see it happening, especially with this coaching staff. Which, by the way, did you see Pete Carroll use his timeouts on defense last night in the first half, get an extra possession and score before the half?
Yeah.
Wow. You can really do that? Wow. That's. Write that down. That's an innovative thing. I mean, it's just it's too far gone for me anyway. But especially if they lose this week, make the change. I would honestly put Larry Foote in charge because he seems to be the only one that wants to hold anybody accountable, that will call out anybody. I'd make him the interim head coach and say, let's start making decisions about next year because that's what this is about. Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose games or tank because the guys that are playing now a lot of them don't care. As Baker Mayfield said, until we all get pissed off enough. So clearly a lot of them don't even care. Yeah,
and Baker's comments are pretty interesting. And I've heard, I think you had Scott on Tuesday, and I've heard him talk about this on his show as well. We can all call for more accountability from the head coach, and that's true. But, you got to look at the players, too, on this team.
Oh, God, yes.
There's a lot of guys on this team making a lot of money, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. who's holding each other accountable on this team other than the head coach? Which player is it?
None.
And I've heard Scott talk about it. You need
None.
like the great Bucks teams that we've seen have had, obviously Warren Sapp, the John Lynches of the world, and even Rondé and Derek in a different type of way. Simeon Rice. I mean, that team had everything you needed from a leadership standpoint.
And the last Super Bowl,
The 2020 team, Ndamukong Suh, Jason Pierre-Paul. It's like obviously Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski. I can go on and on and on. I just don't see those guys anywhere on this team right now. Like, they have a lot of really good players, and I think some guys that are trying to lead, but like it's not really in their DNA. Like a Tristan Wirfs, like. I've heard Scott talk about it, and he kind of said, Tristan comes off like, I'm from Iowa. I'm happy to be here. He is. It's just his. It's just his demeanor, And Vita, he's like the same, in kind of the same vein, And Antoine Winfield, he's always smiling and everything like that. And like, these are your best players, and it's like, so you have to have somebody else, and it's like Devin tries to be that guy, but when you're stinking up the joint,
no credibility.
Yeah, it's hard to lean on you. So. You just don't really have that. You don't really have that guy on this team that's going to hold everybody accountable and hold their feet to the fire on a play-to-play basis. And I think that's why you've seen kind of, things snowball here of late for this team. And, going into this game, it's a double-sided argument. If the Bucks lose to the Panthers, should Todd Bowles be gone right then and there, and that should be it. But as I've been saying, it's like, I know that people don't want to do it, and I know Bucks fans are split on thinking this way, but I'm looking at the pick that they have right now and getting a premium player. I don't want to risk any sense of them winning games that aren't going to matter, and then you're out of that top 10 pick. So it's like, I almost would prefer like just letting Bowles kind of go down with the ship. And I know it's going to suck, and you're going to have to eat it as a fan and the team and all that, but I've seen too many examples around this league of teams firing their head coach, and all of a sudden they get a little spark, they win 2 or 3 games that just really means nothing in the grand scheme of things. So
it does. It ends up hurting you in the long run, especially when you're.
And I know the Bucks aren't thinking like that, okay, folks. They're not thinking like that, and they shouldn't think like that. We're just people that are talking about it on the outside.
So you're saying, if I hear you correctly, you're saying you want Todd Bowles to stay because it's the best chance of losing games.
That sounds harsh, man, and you could call me whatever you want, a loser mentality, but man, that's how I feel. But again, the Bucks should not feel that way. The Bucks, when Todd Bowles gets up there and says we're 1 game out of the playoffs, you know what? He should say that. He should say that. Todd Bowles should want to win games. This team should want to win games. I'm just saying from the outside and knowing the realist in me, knowing where this team is, I don't see any good in that. Personally don't.
And may I say this, we've said a lot of times the disclaimer of how much we love Todd as a person, and he is an awesome guy and a great role model and all those great things. But sitting here making excuses for him, and we're not, picking on the person. We have laid out ad nauseum the actual things that he does and doesn't do that are directly attributed to the head coach that caused them to lose games. The time management issues, the lack of using timeouts in the first half to gain possession, the never challenging key plays, as we saw last week, making terrible calls defensively. Probably, and I don't know this for a fact, but it sure appears like he hampers the offense at times as well and trying to run the football way too much when it's clear that's not working. There's just too many in the lack of accountability of his team. It goes directly to the head coach. So there's so much of the things that you can point to. So when I hear people talk about, what did you expect? All the dead cap money, the coach, his assistant coaches, what other excuses can we make for him? This isn't a very talented team, blah, 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 blah. I mean, look around the league. Look around the league, folks. Everybody's got issues. Everybody's got injuries.
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna sit here and act like Todd Bowles has had. Now, this is a weird thing to say because he did inherit the greatest player of all time last year.
Don't say it. Don't say it because it's
no.
Not.
I'm just gonna say. I was gonna say, regardless of that, at least for this year, he got to hire his own staff. Yes. They did have to eat the full Tom Brady price tag this year.
I get it.
It wasn't ideal, but here's the thing. It's not ideal for a lot of teams around this league. And go look at the team they just played last week, the Indianapolis Colts. Has anything that's happened to them been ideal? Drafting their quarterback of the future with the 4th pick overall, and he gets hurt immediately. How about Jonathan Taylor's situation, and now he's hurt again? And so you're playing for most of the season. The Colts have played with Gardner Minshew and Zach Moss, and then your highest paid player on defense was Shaq Leonard, was not even close to what he used to be, and you had to release him. Like,
it was
you
sitting
think
in the
that
box
team
when he beat you? Yeah,
yeah. You think that team has had it an ideal way that they've wanted, and they've still been able to get 6 wins.
Yeah.
Like there's other examples around the Browns, for crying out loud. The Browns are about to start Joe Flacco in a football game in 2023, and they're 7-4.
Yeah. I don't want to hear it.
Like, miss me with the excuses at this point.
Yeah, and we can sit here and say, Baker Mayfield, is he any better than Gardner Minshew? I'd say, yeah, but he was the first overall pick, by the way. You have the premier left tackle in the game, a pretty damn good right tackle. You've got a lot of you got Mike Evans. And that's the thing. Like, Godwin. Throughout
all this doom and gloom, I'm starting to see things about this team that are going in the right direction. Let me put that out there. They're not winning games right now, but you know what? I went back and watched, and I think everybody has been kind of lockstep on this, and I'm sure you did too. The offensive line played pretty good in that.
Get better. Cody Mauch has improved tremendously. Robert Hainsey is starting to pick it up his play a little bit. Geddes been very solid. Stinney's been a big upgrade over Filer. So the offensive line is starting to give Baker more time, okay? That's turning in the right direction. Rashad White is blossoming.
Right. Rashad White is having his best stretch as an NFL pro right now. Mike is doing Mike. Even Kate Otten is like, even he's picking his game up a little bit. Payne Durham, for crying out loud. I want to see that guy get it, which, by the way, I watched that play back. I don't know. Todd Bowles didn't challenge that one. That was a touchdown. And the emergence of Yaya Diaby. Servassier Dennis played really, really well in that Indy game. Elijah Cansey. Like, there are things on this team.
Leading rookies in tackles for loss.
Right. There are things on this team that they are starting to pick it up a little bit. It's not translating to wins, but this is just looking to the future. And all those guys I just mentioned, outside of Mike, are all young, and they're all going to be a part of your future moving forward.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for some silver linings, some optimistic things, that's it right there. I'm just at the point that I think under the current regime, they're just not going to translate that into winning football games.
Yeah, there's a malaise about this team, and it's not going to go away until there's a change at the top. And I think they owe it to the players to make that change. If they lose this week, they owe the players and the fans, for God's sakes. The fans should not have to. You had season tickets, and you're going to go, oh yeah, we know we should fire the coach, but we're just going to let him keep coaching.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the crowd's going to look like this week. By the way, Sunday. Ooh. I'm very curious. 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I'd say 40. If you get to 40,000, you're going to be doing good.
They'll exceed that. I just don't think they're getting to 60. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, they ain't getting to 60. Do you think there was 60 there at the last
Carolina's
game?
Not the team that travels either. So why would they at this point?
All right. I wanted to get into the Rays a little bit. So the latest news, and this is kind of not news, but there was an article in the paper about Rick Baker, former St. Pete mayor, and he's going on this crusade to get the Rays to change their name since St. Petersburg and Pinellas County. By the way, Pinellas County is footing half the bill for this stadium. If you change it to St. Petersburg Rays, doesn't Pinellas County get pissed off? Doesn't the county commission get pissed off? Should they be the Pinellas Rays? But whatever. So there's this ridiculous, and I'll give to the Rays credit. They have not jumped on this and said, oh, okay, well, we're going to do it. But the bottom line is Rick Baker says if we're going to pay the freight, which they are going to pay a huge part of this, they should have the name of the team on their chest, St. Petersburg Rays.
Yeah. I did hear, though, because, again, this is all coming from Rick Baker.
And there are some commissioners that are entertaining this idea.
But they need to just get out of the way. They need to get out of the way at this point. I saw somebody, and again, this is not like concrete information, but there was somebody who commented this under the Topkin article, and I think it was a fan, and I guess Brian Auld had a luncheon 2 days ago, I want to say, which I was unaware of. And I guess the commenter said he made it very clear there was no chance they were changing their name and it wouldn't even be discussed.
Good.
Again, that's coming from a fan who said that there was a luncheon. Again, nobody has reported that to my knowledge, but I don't. Again, though, the Rays haven't said anything of this, and I think the Rays would be stupid to ever entertain this.
When have they not been stupid when it comes to these type of things?
Okay, well, I'd like to think we're a little smarter than this.
Where's the evidence? So here's what you're doing, because it appears that Randy Arozarena is on the trading block.
Well, I have an update. I have an update on all that stuff for you.
Okay.
This was in the Jeff Passan article either last night or this morning, and he wrote a nice little blurb about the Rays. Because that report came out from something called MLB Nerds, which I don't know what that is. But Jeff Passan said the Rays aren't necessarily looking to trade Randy Arozarena. A small number of teams have inquired, though that could grow in the coming weeks. Arozarena is set to make around $9 million this year, plus 2 arbitration raises beyond that, and the Rays could move the 28-year-old for a significant windfall. And then he added, others on the block include, but not limited to, Isaac Paredes, Brandon Lau, Harold Ramirez, and Manuel Margot. Of those names that were floated, I would trade Brandon Lau first.
Yeah, of course.
Because he's injured all the time.
Right.
And I know that guy has offered me nothing ever in the postseason.
And allergic to postseason play.
And allergic to postseason, as a lot of guys in this team are. The one that just fired me up last week, and I went back and forth with some people about it because I was hearing their arguments, and it's not that I necessarily don't hear your argument and understand it, but this team is already devoid of any hitting prowess in the postseason as it is.
Yes.
And we develop pitchers like crazy. Hitters is like, once we get one, I feel like you need to hold on to that guy.
Yes.
Okay, Isaac Paredes is 24 years old. 24 years old. He plays a premium position, third base, okay? He just hit 31 home runs and drove in 98 with an OPS over 130, okay? He was a top 5 third baseman in all of baseball this season. Probably got screwed out of winning the Silver Slugger Award at the third base if it wasn't a popularity contest.
Right.
Why in God's name? Why would I trade that guy after the first year that he put up the numbers, the first year that he got a full-time playing position there at third base? Why would I trade that guy now? He's not a UFA for another 5 years. He's making peanuts at this point. Mm-hmm. You have him for arbitration. I think that is simply ridiculous to entertain trading Isaac Paredes. And I know that the argument is, well, we got to make room for Junior Caminero and we got to make room for Curtis Meade. Here's my problem. Why do you have to make room for people? Why can't we just have all of them and find a way to make it work? I can have Isaac Paredes. If you like Caminero's defense better at third, I can have Caminero play third and I can have Isaac DH and I can still have Yandy play first. Why does it have to be one or the other? How about you just keep these guys? They're all going to be cheap anyway, so you're going to keep your payroll low, which is what you want to do in the first place.
Exactly.
It's but people tell me about Curtis Meade and everything. Listen, if Curtis Meade can't get on the field, then trade him while his value is still there. Don't wait until it becomes Vidal Brujan and you get absolutely nothing for the guy.
Right, exactly.
That's the way I look at it.
And that's the right way to look at it. The first thing you got to look at when you decide whether a guy's going to get traded is how much does he make? Because
I understand if you trade Isaac Paredes, given all the profile I just told you and the fact that he's still an ascending talent. I mean, he's played essentially a year and a half of baseball at the major league level for the Rays. He's ascending. I understand you think you can get a good haul for him and you want to sell high and all those things, but again, what's the goal around here? This team just won nearly 100 games this year. In my mind, it's can we try to keep doing that? Why keep tearing things down?
People, hit me up on Twitter well, why would they trade Randy Arozarena? It's simple, because that's what they do. They get a player that starts getting expensive, as you mentioned, $9 million. If he has a good year, next year's going to be 12, maybe 14. The year after that's going to be 20. So. I'm not advocating for him to trade Randy Arozarena. I personally wouldn't do it. He's the face of your franchise right now. The fans love him, all those things. If they traded Randy Arozarena, I have no doubt in my mind they could get a haul for that guy. Yeah. And we've already discussed it. He's not signing back with this team once they get to that point. He's a Boras agent or a Boras client. It ain't happening. I won't be as deeply upset if they traded Randy Arozarena. Again, not advocating for it, but I'd be more upset if they traded Isaac Paredes. Of course.
For all the reasons I laid out.
Well, listen, Randy, Randy is the one that gives you the best chance to do anything in the postseason because he's done it.
Right.
And
he has the track record.
He's got a track record. He brings, fans want to come to the ball yard and see something fun and electric. He brings all that. I mean, if you're in the business of entertaining people, you got to keep Randy Arozarena at least for 2 more years. I get it. When he gets to the final year and he's not going to sign here, it would be stupid not to trade him.
In general, it just sucks because we fall in love with these guys.
I know. Yeah.
Listen,
if we had a real franchise, we'd sign the guy long term, but we don't have a real owner. We don't have that. We have a big enough market to pay these guys. We certainly, if we had a new stadium in a centrally located area where you could get corporate sponsorships, we wouldn't be a problem. But we have an owner that doesn't want to do that because that's not the biggest profit margin for him because he's got to spend money to make money. He doesn't want to spend any money. He just wants to make money. And that's what he does.
It's
that's
like
why Randy Arozarena might get traded this year because it brings back those young, talented players that keep you competitive at a very low level. The Rays need young, talented pitchers right now. They don't have any in the pipeline which has always been their lifeblood. They know how to keep the pitching going. So as sure as I'm sitting here today, they're going to trade Randy Arozarena.
Yeah, and that's why they're floating out Randy, and that's why they're floating out Isak because
because for at least 2 more seasons, that guy should be a Ray. At $9 million, he's a steal. At $15 million, he's a steal. And the next year, fine, I get it. That'll be fun. But they're not going to do it. They're not going to have a payroll of $120 million.
It's
floating that.
It's just in a perfect world. In a perfect world, you wouldn't have to trade one of your best players to go fill a hole elsewhere.
Exactly.
That's the whole point. Is that you should be able to hold on to what you have. Again, this team won 98 whatever games this year, right? Through all the injuries and all the BS with Wander they had to go through, and that's incredible. But given what I saw in the postseason and what I've seen the last 2-3 years in the postseason, it's clear to me that they have a nucleus good enough to get there to the postseason, good enough to win 100 games. Now I'm asking for you to supplement it with veterans on this team, leaders in that clubhouse, guys who are postseason proven, and to take you to the next step, give you a better chance of having another 2020 season when I think you had all those pieces in place. That's all I'm asking for. Is that so hard to ask for?
Nope. But
why trade some of your best players to fill other holes, and then you're just creating uncertainties elsewhere? Because it's like
this is a team that does it like the stock market, bro. They're just numbers on a page. He doesn't give a shit about the fans. This is why you're building a stadium, or supposedly building a stadium, where 80% of your fans don't want it. 80% of your fans don't want it there. Let's build it there. Let's call them the St. Pete Rays. Build a stadium where 80% of your fans don't want it. Trade Randy Arozarena. Trade Glass now. Put up playoff banners. What else can we do to piss off the fans? Anything else? Anything else we can do? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Time and time again, this franchise has no clue how to connect with fans. It's just all about making money. This stadium deal has nothing to do with the fans, obviously, because 80% of your fans don't want it there. It has nothing to do with what's best for the area. It has everything to do with upfront money that Stu Sternberg can put in his pocket. And and they want to be like Miami. Rick Baker, you want to be like Miami and take the name of the team because you paid for it? Well, you know what? You're doing exactly what Miami did. You're spending ridiculous amounts for a stadium that is poorly located and nobody's going to show up to, and then you can put your name on it. Good for you. Good for you. What does that do for you? What does that do for the area? Nothing. It further separates St. Petersburg from everybody else. Good for you. So keep your owner that just cares about making money. Build your stadium in a stupid place. Get rid of all your good players and go do what you do. I don't care anymore. I'm done. I'm done with them until they get a new owner, until they figure out how to take the best advantage of this market, like encompassing the entire market. Screw them. I got the Lightning. I got a new women's soccer team coming in. I'm interested in. Let's do that.
So funny. You skipped right over the Bucks. You were wanting to say it.
Leaving to the Bucks.
You wanted to say it, and you went straight to women's soccer.
No, I'm going everywhere else. It doesn't matter. Anybody else that's serious about winning, I'm much more interested. I'm more interested in USF. I'm more interested in FSU. I'm more interested in the Florida Gators. I got tons of things I can spend my money on and be interested in. And the St. Pete Rays ain't one of them. Take it. There you go.
I still love the team.
I know you do.
I can be critical when I want, but I still love it.
You are. You'll learn. It took me a while.
Listen, I've had to eat my crow. I've had to eat my own crow on this show many a time when I try to convince myself that things are changing. You know, it always happens that way. And then you have to
series, and I want to go see baseball, and maybe I'll go to a game. But you know what?
Hey, we had fun when we went to the games last year. And listen, give them credit. $10 tickets the entire year this year.
I love my Rays baseball. I wish I could embrace it, but this ownership group just doesn't allow me to. You can't just keep spitting in my face and peeing down my leg and tell me it's raining. I just can't do it anymore. At some point, I got to have some self-respect. So I'm done.
Yeah, done. Well, when opening day comes, you'll be wearing your Rays hat and you'll be wearing your Rays jersey. Just wait.
Probably. But if it's a new owner, I'm back in. I'm back in. Both feet. Let's go. All right, take a quick break. When we come back, Scott Carter is going to join us from FloridaGators.com. Is Billy Napier on the way out? Sign the class, get him in, and then fire him. Who knows? Who knows what's going on in Gainesville? We'll recap the FSU-UF game, the fallout from that for the Gators, how their recruiting's going, and we'll talk some other SEC football with Scott Carter. We're brought to you by the Italiano Insurance, folks. They just saved me $1,000 on my auto insurance. They can save you on your homeowner's insurance, all your insurance needs. Call Charity or any of the great customer service folks at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. We just had a friend save $6,000 on their insurance. So do it. 813-877-7799. Back in 3.
Do you have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Gordon Geddes Real Estate Group. Jane Geddes, she's off on a great trip to South Africa with Gigi Fernandez, and they're going to be doing tennis stuff all over the world. So we'll get some great stories from her when she gets back, and also talk some real estate. If you have any real estate needs whatsoever, looking for investments, a new home, want to sell your home, they are the folks to go to. Just great folks. Become part of the family at the Geddes Gordon Group. And just reach them through their website. Tell them JP sent you. You will not be sorry. They do staging. They'll negotiate all the deals for you. Everything will be turnkey for you. It's the Geddes Gordon Group. Just give them a call and make a lifelong friend and make some great investments as well. All right, let's bring in our good friend Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Good to see you, Scotty. How are you, my friend?
Hey, good morning, guys. Doing well. Just decompressing from the football season. No bowl games, guys.
Yeah, there's a silver lining for you anyway, right? Maybe not for
a little different, but you know what? It's what it is, man. It's 5-7.
We've been there, baby. We all have. I mean, I'm not sitting here to gloat over the Gators' misfortune because we've all been there. You know, it goes in cycles. The Gators will be back, and it'll probably be faster than any of us thought. Because I didn't think FSU would get back here this fast. That's for now. I was probably more optimistic than anybody, and it just happens. You just got to make the right moves, which brings us to the burning question. What's going on with Billy Napier? I know Gator Nation is not happy right now, but I'll sit here and say, there's a lot of FSU people that wanted Mike Norvell gone after year 2. That would have been a very, very poor decision. So where are we with Billy Napier right now?
Well, I think there's a lot of reevaluation going on with him and his staff. You saw the moves this week where Corey Raymond and Sean Spencer, a couple of really proven veteran defensive coaches, they were kind of sent packing. And, it gives Austin Armstrong, the young defensive coordinator who came in right before spring, it'll give him a chance to kind of develop his side of the ball with guys he wants on his staff. But the bigger question is, in terms of Billy Napier, 11-14 after 2 seasons, that's not what obviously the Gators signed him for. It's not what he signed up for. So it's only natural there's going to be some reevaluation. As of this moment, I mean, I don't think, I haven't heard anything where I don't think Billy Napier's job is in jeopardy or anything, but I think, people want to see some changes. And that starts obviously in a lot of people's minds on offense with, whether it's his play calling, hiring a team's coach. So there's a lot of voices on the outside who think they have the solutions. Obviously, they don't matter in the big picture, but I do think, if you're Billy Napier and you're smart, which I think he is, I think it's only natural you're going to reevaluate where you are after 2 seasons because it hasn't gone as well as anyone had hoped. I think 6-7 the first season was kind of understandable, a rebuilding of a program. But, you want to see improvement that second season. When you dip down to 5-7, well, that's not improvement. So it's going to cost some people their jobs. Obviously, it already has. And I think there could be further changes down the road. But as of right now, I think it's really kind of the leadership at UF, Billy Napier getting together, just trying to figure out some answers as they move ahead.
Do you think these assistant head or coach firings impact anything in regards to this recruiting class? Because obviously LJ McCray, Xavier Vilsabe, 2 of your top 3 recruits, and I believe they were at those positions that those position coaches were fired. So is there any concern about potentially losing those guys late in the process?
I think there's always a risk there. I think UF, they've sure they're talking to those guys. There's been nothing alarming so far in that regard. But it's this day and age, guys. It's like until they're signed, it's always been that way. But it seems now
Right.
more than ever. It's like
Yeah.
until they're signed,
There's bidding wars going on.
how much can you really devote to them? So you hope that this class that the Gators have established, on paper as of right now, even with some recent defections, it's still Florida's top recruiting class in about a decade. So if they can hold on to it without any more defections and maybe get a guy or two from another class, another school, it will be a win there. But I think when I look at where the Gators are right now, guys, whatever the recruiting class ends up being, they got good news yesterday with Graham Mertz coming back. So that's a veteran leader presence at that position. But I still think to make a significant jump, they're going to have to really do some damage in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And I know that's really helped Florida State, like JP was talking about. Mike Norvell turned it around because they've done really well in the transfer portal. Can Florida pull off a similar wave of newcomers through veteran newcomers? I think that's a question that's relevant where they are in this offseason.
Before we go too much further, I do want to take a look back at this FSU Florida game, more for the exercise of saying, what did we learn in that game about Billy Napier, the program moving forward? We learned one thing. They play hard. They play hard, and that was, I was sitting here as a Florida State fan going, oh shit, we're in trouble. It's 12-0. This place is rocking. I've seen this movie before. It doesn't matter how good you are or how bad they are. This is just what happens in these rivalry games. And we saw it in every other rivalry game. Alabama, Auburn, Washington, all across the board is what happens in college football. So I give credit for FSU doing what they've done all year long, digging in, fighting their ass off, and coming back and winning the game and dominating the second half. That said, a lot of big mistakes by Florida, and a lot of it from the undisciplined category. The spitting leads to a touchdown, right? The double targeting leads to a touchdown. Just a lot of undisciplined, bad stuff going on. And this is what, my Gator fan friends, this is what they were most pissed about. They were like, oh, we knew we were probably going to lose the game, but the way we lost it, and, it's just not the way we want our program to be perceived. So with that in mind, how do you look at that game, positives and negatives of the Florida State game?
Yeah. Well, we'll start with the negatives since they've been the overriding theme. I think, as sitting there 12-0 guys, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I was like you guys, the safety was the one that really woke me up. Oh, wow, okay, they could be in trouble. But I remember turning to Chris Harry there in the press box and saying, you know what, if they score here before halftime and they come out in the second half and score, we've seen this before. It's kind of exactly what happened. And once it got a tight game, those mistakes that have really cost Florida all throughout the season, some people like to say some of the play calls, some of the undisciplined play, the 4 penalties for 50 yards in the fourth quarter, minus 15 yards. So it was really a culmination of a lot of the same things that the reason the Gators were battling to even get in a bowl game in the first place. So I think those are the negatives, and they're lingering because you lost to your rival, and 3 straight losing seasons at Florida just doesn't sit well. I mean, one losing season doesn't sit well. Now they have 3 straight, so that's why I think you've seen this sense of just almost like anger, frustration, even sadly, kind of a just a lot of people have checked out, which you don't want. So the positives, I mean, I think this Florida team, but you could say this about a lot of teams, guys, that, whenever you're dealing with a team that's borderline 500, every 500 team in the history of sports, you can go back and dissect and say, well, they could have been 8-4 if they'd made a couple plays here and there or here and there.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's true, but it's also why they ended up 6-6 or 5-7 because they didn't make those plays. But I do like the way they fought. I thought the energy was great on the team. I think the culture that Billy Napier is building, I do think it's in a positive way, trending in the right direction compared to where it was when he came in. That only goes so far, though. I mean, you've got to ultimately change the wins and losses. And, we can talk about this until we're all blue in the face. I think that's just where they are right now. You're gonna, there's a lot of PR battles that he's lost recently, but whether or not he wins big on the recruiting trail, whether or not they get some of those players in the transfer portal that we talked about that can really help. Ultimately, it's going to be year 3 is just going to be crucial for the program. I think they have to show significant improvement next year, or unfortunately, I think we're going to be here talking about a lot of the same issues, but maybe talking about a lot more changes. So, you like to see him get it turned around because I think he's doing a lot of things that are admirable inside the program.
Right.
And but it's got to show up on the field, and he knows that. All coaches know that.
Yeah. And obviously, though, we're going to see what the roster looks like because, we still got a big portal season to go through. But being that the schedule is what it is next year, and even from the conference itself, right, and adding Oklahoma and Tennessee in there, or Texas rather, and you got to play Texas at the end. But even from a non-conference standpoint, playing Miami, UCF, and Florida State at this moment, what's the optimism level you think around there right now that next year is going to be any different when it looks like things are actually getting harder for them?
Yeah, Nick, based on my Twitter feed, there's not a lot of optimism out there, unfortunately. The Graham news yesterday was a bit of good news because I do think that helps. But you're right, the schedule next year going into 2024, I think the strength of schedule, once those rankings come out, it won't surprise me if the Gators are number 1 or 2 in the nation. So it's not going to be an easy turnaround. It's going to take something maybe that we don't even know. It's going to take something special. It's going to take a couple of special performances, some new players to really add some energy that we haven't seen, or some, not energy, but maybe skill or impact players that we haven't seen in a couple of years. So, it's a tough job. It's one that, you look at the big picture and it's almost like the Gators are kind of spinning their wheels in mud right now, unfortunately. Again, I think that a lot of things behind the scenes are going in the right direction. But in this day and age, man, the patience is so low now, guys. You guys talk about. You just a season like this, it's just all everybody wants to talk about is fire the coach, fire this guy, fire that guy. But eventually, I do think you need at least 3 years.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not one of those people like they should make wholesale changes, but next year is so important in that speaking point, because I think if they're in the same situation next year, then all bets are off.
No, I totally agree. And this, there's a lot of things that are not in his control, like the schedule, that are just brutal. And here's the problem. Kids see the schedule. If I'm transferring in or I'm looking at the Gators, I'm going, man, that's a great place to play. I like the coach. It's the SEC. The place is it's an incredible atmosphere, but Jesus, look at that. Like, do I really want to go play for it? I don't, if you get 3 or 4 5-star transfers, that schedule's got 3 losses on it, at least, and maybe 6 and maybe 7. It's brutal. So that works against you. So I'm here to tell you, it's going to take longer than that. And that's just the reality of it. And it sucks for the fans, but I think, just trading coaches every 3 years doesn't work either. So there's got to be some consistency to what you're doing. And it's just, you're not going to know who anybody is until at least 3 years. So I just think, again, it's cyclical. It's the FSU went through it for a long time, came out of it, got the right guy. You got to find the right guy. And I just don't know if we know Billy Napier's that guy yet. So here.
Yeah, that's kind of where it is. Right now, he said it best last week before the FSU game. Someone asked him, is 11-13, is that reflective of this team? And he says, well, it indicates what kind of team we are. It's the old Bill Parcells quote, right? You are what your record says. And right now, Billy Napier's an 11-14 head coach at University of Florida. And we all know that's not going to last too long. And then, it goes back to really, it is a program that has been in somewhat, for now 10, 12 years, kind of a roller coaster ride. And I always talk about, there's about 15, 16, maybe 18 programs in the country that realistically have a chance to win a national title. Yeah. Florida is certainly one of those schools. but when they haven't been in the national or the college football playoff conversation now since it started in 2014, that's a concern. So
yeah,
you've got to turn it around and get in that conversation sooner or later, or then you have to look at the bigger picture of, well, is Florida still that kind of program? So as of right now, it is, but they need some success.
You're the only SEC team in the state of Florida. Yeah. You know, you got boosters out the yin yang that are going to pay whatever they need to for NIL. Your facilities, you know, are certainly good enough for everything you need to do. You got everything there is you need, and the money's coming in for it's there for you. So yes, they will always be that program. It's just a matter of leadership, and that's what the college football game is all about. You get a Nick Saban, you get an up and coming Mike Norvell, you identify that guy, and maybe get a schedule or two that you can work with. You can be, you know, that's one of the things that people, FSU fans, want to get in that SEC, you know, so bad, and I hate the ACC for so many reasons, but man. Like you cannot make an argument, especially now with the college football playoff giving automatic bids to the ACC and then having a better chance at a wild card. Your chance of winning national championships are much better if you stay in the ACC. And now you're going to have to raise some more money to compete NIL, but that's on you. Boosters have unlimited funds, you know. They have, and if you keep winning, you'll keep getting that extra cash. And you don't just make money from the TV deal. There's other ways to make money. And if you're winning and your boosters are energized, you can make up the difference. So where is it better for FSU? And I'm looking at the Gators right now, and I'm saying, you know what? 80% of their problems is that schedule's freaking brutal. And it's tough to win 10, 11 games. It just is. So,
yeah, I mean, it's, you know, you're talking next year with the addition of Oklahoma and Texas. I mean, you can look at that schedule throughout the SEC and say it's going to be harder for the SEC teams just to
play. Right,
but
that's what I'm saying.
It's going to be expanding, so that's going to benefit everybody to some degree. But
I don't think Texas and Oklahoma necessarily made the right choice. We'll see.
It's going to be tough. And you know what, guys? If they didn't, heck, they could join the revamped Pac-12 in about 3 years. You know how this is going. I mean,
who knows, right? Who knows? Hey, quick take on the SEC championship game. I don't think Alabama has a shot in this one, unless the SEC wants to fix the game so they can get two teams in. I don't think they have a shot.
I'm a big until you beat them. They're still the top dogs. Georgia, Alabama needed that miracle finish at Auburn. I think Georgia's. I've penciled in as my 3-time national championship until otherwise.
So I think it's hard to argue. All right, Scotty, thanks. Appreciate your help all season long. Really appreciate all your expertise and your level-headedness. I know the Gator fans love it as well. The Jeeves Law Group thanks you as well. So appreciate that. We will have a great Christmas season. We'll get back in touch with you if and when we need to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me, man, and hopefully talk to you guys soon.
All right, thanks, Scott Carter at Gator Scott on Twitter. Follow him. Great dude, great information there. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Billy Napier. I think he's getting a little bit of a bum rap. It feels a lot like Norvell year 2. It's more undisciplined stuff than I would like to see at this point of the program. I think Norvell had a little bit more under control after year 2. But the recruiting class, if he can hold on to this recruiting class and get a few more teams in the portal, a few guys in the portal, although I think I saw ATN went.
No, there's beware because there's a lot of these fake On3 portal accounts out there.
Oh, there are. Beware. Okay, so ATN is not in the portal.
Correct. Yes.
All right. So yeah, you got to. If you're the Gators, you got to worry about that side of it too. It's not just attracting, but retaining. So.
I don't know. I look at that schedule, and I know a lot of things are going to change. And if you look at that schedule deeper than on the surface, I think 7 of the 12 quarterbacks that are the quarterbacks now for those programs are all going to be gone next year. So a lot of those teams are going to be kind of transitioning to new things, but still.
That's interesting. Yeah, but
it's still
I mean, Texas,
LSU.
LSU,
Miss,
Miami, UCF,
Georgia.
Florida State. Who am I missing? I think they play Georgia. Yeah, Georgia.
You got to win the games against like a Kentucky. You got to beat Mississippi State.
Which is at Starkville, which is hard to, even when they suck,
Right.
it's hard. The stupid Cowbells. Yeah. Even if they're better next year, they could be 5-7.
Yeah, I still think Billy might have bought himself some extra time with this class, though, if he can keep it together.
Well, you'd be stupid to fire the guy when you bring it in this class. You'd be stupid, and you'd be
even next year, because even if next year's not great, I mean, you kind of have to see that class through from a development standpoint. And if Billy gets fired, then a lot of those guys are going to be like, "All right, peace."
Yeah, they're going to leave because they can. Remember, when you fire your coach, even the guys that have already transferred and might not be eligible right away, they can leave with no penalty. So you got to be really, really careful about that. All right, Tom Block, go ahead.
Hey, I know Tom Block coming up in like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a little bit of time before we could take a break, so I did want to give a little update on the Bucks real quick.
Yeah.
Because they are practicing as we speak. Still no Levante, no Jamel Dean, and no Mike Green, so likely they're all out. And no Devin White, no Servassier Dennis, and no Chris Godwin once again. So
no Servassier Dennis.
Servassier Dennis came down with an illness, so I have to think he's probably still play. Chris Godwin hasn't practiced, I don't think, all week. He has a neck injury. Ooh. So but can you imagine if Devin and Levante don't play, and
Chris doesn't play,
and obviously Jamel's not there either. I mean,
what's the spread? Yeah,
I'm curious what the spread is actually.
I haven't
even entertained it. I'm looking it up right now.
I'll play guess the spread on this one, and I'm going to say,
okay, go ahead.
Bucks 6.5 point favorites.
Or 4-point favorite.
That's even worse. So that Vegas thinks they're 1 point better than Carolina. Yikes. Yeah, the more I think about it, keep Bowles around. Any other coach might go on a run with this team.
You see the vision now.
Yeah, I do. I see where you're going with that. All right, anything else? All right, let's take a quick break because we got lots to get to with Tom Block coming up. FSU sideline reporter will get the latest on who's starting. Will it be Tate Rodemaker? Will it be Brock Glenn? Will both be playing? There's a lot of chatter on the X machine that it's going to be Brock Glenn. So we'll find out from the source. FSU sideline reporter Tom Block, longtime friend, will join us next. Don't forget, folks, American Mortgage Services, Scott Fitzgerald, big Knoll fan, by the way, so you know need a mortgage or a refi. Go to the guy who knows what he's doing. He's done over 3,000 in the area, works with a lot of coaches and players, and works with anybody. And they'll help you with your personal finances, get everything in order. So don't be afraid of those rates. There's other ways to save money. He'll show you how. So if you're looking for that house, you got to buy one anyway. They can do adjustable rates, all kinds of different things, creative things. Find out what's going on in the mortgage industry with American Mortgage Services and Scott Fitzgerald. Fitzy will get you right. Get him at scott@amstampa.com. Email him scott@amstampa.com and tell him JP sent you. Back with Tom Block right after this. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. It's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages. It's home to the Tampa Gator Club and the Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the patio. It's also home to a great happy hour weekdays. $5 White Claw vodka and $5 White Claw seltzers. $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30 off their already low prices. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 o'clock with tons of specials. The fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have some swag and some ticket giveaways and more. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise. 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the patio.
Have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
All right. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Football Friday as we get set for the SEC Championship and the ACC Championship game. Florida State enters that against a 14th-ranked Louisville team that is pretty damn impressive, really, when you start looking at what they've done this year, the talent they have, and not really a great matchup for FSU. So let's welcome in our good friend Tom Block, FSU sideline reporter, who joins us now and may be on his way to Charlotte. What's up, Tom? How are you?
Good, JP. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. I mean, it's been a while since we've been to the ACC championship game, which, by the way, Does it rain every December day in early December in Charlotte? It seems like there's never been good weather for this game, and looks like you might be wearing your galoshes on the sideline this weekend as well.
As the sideline guy, I can't speak for years FSU hasn't been there, but in every year that I've been there, yes, it's been raining and cold, and it's going to dump on me tomorrow, JP, but I'm actually pleased that it's not going to be 34 degrees. It's supposed to be like high 50s or low 60s, so I'll take that as a win.
Yeah. Yes, cold and rain is just the worst possible thing for a sideline reporter. I get it. All right, first things first, what are you hearing on Tate? Has he practiced this week? We're hearing he's in concussion protocol. Obviously, you can practice when you're in concussion protocols, but you got to see how people react. I'm hearing that Brock Glenn's gotten significant snaps this week. What can you divulge to the fans?
Well, I think all of what you just said there, I think is accurate. I mean, Tate did practice this week. I don't know enough about how the protocol works exactly. I do know he took a hit last week, and so I'm sure they're testing him and will continue to, and that. And I'm also sure even if he hadn't sustained that hit last week, that the reality is you're one hit away from Brock Glenn being your guy, right? So, I mean, getting him extra reps, just by virtue of moving from a third team to second team, he's going to get more reps than what he was getting. But you have to get him more work against the scout team, because if Tate goes down in the first series, now you're turning into a true freshman. And, they like Brock Glenn a lot. They really do. The shame of it is that he was hurt earlier this season, and so I don't know how many practices he missed overall. It felt like 4 or 5 weeks. So he would be 4 or 5 weeks further along than whatever he is right now had he not missed that time, So as to who it's going to be, I mean, I think they're planning for Tate to play, but I can't say with 100% certainty that when the game kicks off, if it's Brock, then obviously something else came up. I think they're going into it, expecting Tate's going to be the guy.
Hey, going back to that Florida game when we saw Tate, I mean, I think it was clear to everybody watching that he seemed a little rattled early on, but how do you think he responded, and the team in general, to the adversity of going down 12-0 in a hostile environment and coming out with a 9-point victory on the road?
Yeah, well, the one thing, it may be this team's best characteristic is their resolve, or Norvell calls it response. The way they respond, they've done it every game this year. And I know it doesn't feel like it, but after they went down 12-0, they outscored Florida 24-3 the rest of the way. And they've got one of those swings. If you look at every game, even Boston College, they had a 28-0 run in that game, and then they took their foot off the gas. So the way the team responds has been tremendous. It's probably their best asset. In terms of Tate, clearly it was a little shaky early on, but to be fair to him, he got 3 snaps in the first quarter, and it was a 4-yard pop pass completion, and then Trey Benson lost 11 yards, and it was 3rd and 17. I don't even remember that play. But basically the first quarter was not Tate's fault at all, right? So then they didn't have great field position. Yeah, you'd love to see more awareness than when he took the safety. But I do think after that, he made a couple good throws. And that drive before the half was huge. And I thought he was fine in the second half. I also think that they managed that game a little differently than what they would they'll have to do tomorrow. In other words, they knew Florida was not going to score 38 points, so they didn't have to call their offense to try and get 40. Now, tomorrow with the weather, you're not going to be looking at 38 or 40 either, but Louisville's a very, very good team, and I think they would expect that Louisville is going to put up a few more points, and so offensively, they're going to have to take a few more chances,
Yeah, and before we move on to kind of a scouting report, just maybe a little bit more on Brock. He's a 4-star kid. He's big. I know he's impressed them with his running ability, and that might be the key to this game because, as you mentioned, with the weather as bad as it is, the quarterback that can run and make those maybe off-schedule plays, I think is going to be of great value. And maybe, Mike probably is planning on Brock playing a few series anyway, even if Tate's healthy. I think that would probably be smart to do. But give us a little bit more of what you can tell us about Brock.
Yeah, and I don't, to your point, maybe that is what Norvell's thinking. I don't know if that's part of the plan or not. It's not like Mike called me to say, here's what we're going to do, Tom. Don't share it on JP's show, right?
Come on.
But Brock was committed to Ohio State initially, and then I think Ohio State, I don't know if they were kind of giving the cold shoulder or giving the hint, or he just wanted to look around on his own. But, he's from the Memphis area, Norvell. He's very familiar with Norvell from when he was at Memphis growing up. He probably went to some of his camps, or the Memphis camps, right, as you would do if you're growing up in that area. Ultimately switched from Ohio State to Florida State, and I think he's been impressive since he got here. Even if you go back to August, he opened some eyes with how far along he was in August initially, and the thought in August, and when I say the thought, I'm talking media conjecture, media gets to go to practice, was that, not that Norvell stated it this way, but there was kind of a thought that by the end of the year, Brock would be the number 2. He'd probably move ahead of Tate, right? Well, then he got that injury, and he missed, again, a month and a half.
Right.
And so it never materialized. And whether or not that would have happened, we don't know. But the point is, he opened some eyes early on. He's a confident kid for sure, but he's a true freshman that has, I don't even know what his snap count would be. A couple drives against North Alabama and a couple other drives over the course of the year when he's just handing off. So there's really, to me, I couldn't answer how is he going to respond if he has to go in that situation. Because we haven't seen it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's a good feeling for what the possibilities are. All right, so I'm looking at this Louisville team, and I'm looking at they've got 2 really good edge rushers, Gillette, not sure how you pronounce that, and FSU's down 2 tackles. They've got a defense that gets after the quarterback, and they've got a couple of really good cover guys as well. So it seems like that's not a great matchup for FSU. And they got a run defense that allows, I think it's number 1 in the ACC and allows 98 yards per game. So this LSU defense is going to create a challenge. And offensively, I think this is where FSU can kind of get after it and win some games. Jack Plummer has been, prone to some mistakes when he tries to do too much. I think that's something FSU can take advantage of, but they got to stop those 2 running backs who are really, really good. I think they have NFL futures. So when you look at this on both sides of the ball, I see a very even game. How do you see it?
Yeah, I see it very evenly too. I think these teams are pretty similar. I mean, like just thinking about what you just detailed, they hit a lot of home runs with their running backs.
Right.
Not necessarily down to down, but you find a hole, you're going to go 70 yards. Well, that's what Trey Benson does, right? And you mentioned a good edge rusher. Well, that's Jared Verse and some good cover guys. FSU has that too. So I think there's a lot of similarities there. I think if Jordan was playing, I think we'd all feel a lot better about it, and Florida State would be a heavier favorite. I do think they're pretty evenly matched. I also think both of these coaches are really good offensive minds.
Yes.
And that's kind of the fun. I mean, I'm not saying that Norvell is perfect. I mean, you do this for a living, JP. There's always calls you can haggle over, but for the most part, I mean, I think he's got a pretty good mind, and Jeff Brom does too. And Louisville was really aided when he brought in that quarterback because he knew the system, and he got there in the spring, and so that elevated the teaching of the new system to the existing Louisville players, because now it's not just the coach doing it, but the quarterback knew it as well. So that escalated things there, and I think that's why they hit the ground running. As far as FSU's offensive tackles, they have said, Atkins has said that they're available, and maybe we'll see them this week. I don't know. Because we've heard that for a while. We haven't seen the full rotation. But I guess back more to the point, I think offensively, so where do you go? I think Florida State, maybe can they find something against the linebackers? I mean, when they've gotten the screen game going, it's been highly effective this year. Yes. The tight ends for Florida State, I thought they would be a bigger weapon last week. And I know Jaheim Bell has been nicked up too. He hasn't been the same guy as he was earlier this season, but if you can get those guys behind, 6, it doesn't have to be 20 yards down the field. Get them 8 yards. Just get them past the linebackers and use them. I think there's opportunities for Florida State offensively. On the defensive side, we'll see. It's been a really good Florida State defense this year. And now that, they've given up a play here and there, but I think you're right. If they can, it sounds obvious this is what any defense wants to do, but if they can bottle up the run and you get the third and obvious passing, well, that's a winning formula for anybody. I do think, we're talking about the FSU injuries. I think Louisville's a little nicked up too. Their receivers been hurt, not the same guy the second half of the season as the first half. Same with their star running back. Their defense has not played as well the last couple weeks as what they did earlier this year. And you're right, the quarterback has a propensity to put the ball on the ground or, throw a ball in the air that maybe he shouldn't have. So, And Florida State has been, that's another. I talked about the resolve being maybe their best characteristic. The other stat, and I don't know if FSU's first in the country in fewest turnovers, but I mean they've won the turnover battle every game this year. So I mean, if you do that again in a wet track, I mean, that's a big part of the reason that FSU's had such a great season.
And this probably goes without saying, but it feels like if FSU is going to get their offense going, it's going to be, Keon Coleman has probably got to make some big plays. And, I'm just looking at trends coming into the game, and it seems like teams in the second half of the season, for whatever reason, I mean, Keon hasn't been as successful. Like last 3 games, for example, I think he has 8 catches for 101 yards. Not much against Florida, not much against Miami, obviously, other than the touchdown. I mean, do you see like him being a part of the offense more in this one, obviously, and even if he's not open, just giving him more opportunities?
Yeah, I do. Now, Keon's another guy that was nicked, right? So he missed the Pittsburgh game, came back against Miami and only had 4 catches, did draw a couple PIs, had the huge punt return in that game, though, and he wasn't 100%. Right. Then you get to North Alabama, and you've already seen your quarterback go down. So as soon as that game got in hand, I'm sure that they weren't interested in having Keon be out there for more snaps than necessary, right? But I do think the thing about, and he had a huge punt return last week too. I know he missed the ball in the end zone, but that was not insignificant. Both the rivalry games, his punt returns have led to decisive scores. Yeah, they've changed the game. I don't know that the way this offense works. Keon can still be highly effective and only have 3 catches if the defense is spending 2 guys covering them, and rolling the safety that way. That helps other things. It's not an offense where typically a guy is going to go out and have 11 catches for 170 yards. Now, he did that against LSU in game 1. He had, 9 catches for 123 scores. Then we found out LSU's defense is terrible. But I mean, I think that set the tone. Every team FSU played the rest of the year has had to start their game plan. Well, probably with Jordan and his mobility, but number 2 and maybe number 1 has been, okay, what are we going to do with Keon? And as soon as they figure that out, that's opportunities for other guys. So that's a long-winded answer to your question. I think Keon will have more catches than he did last week, but I don't think it's kind of like Verse with sacks. If the offense is spending 2 guys blocking them, another guy chipping them, even if he doesn't have a sack, that's a win for Florida State. They're having to expend that much effort on them, So you can't just look at the stats on Keon and Verse.
But guys, I got to give you some updated information here from Super Scout Cullen Peterson, who just texted me. My son, who's listening to the show in Chicago. Louisville's defensive backs are very good, but they're short. They give up several big plays every game. Johnny has 7 inches on their tallest DB, Jarvis Brownie. So there you go. There's some expert analysis from Cullen Peterson in Chicago. He comes from great stock, so I know he's good. Now,
Tom, the name he just mentioned, I have no doubt, JP. Jarvis Brownlee, remember, started his career at Florida State, and he transferred to Louisville. So not that he would have overlapped with Johnny or Keon, but the game a year ago when Tate led FSU from behind at Louisville, Johnny Wilson did feast, and a couple of those were at Jarvis Brownlee's expense. Now, that was 18 games ago or whatever, but that did happen.
It's a good matchup. There's no doubt about it. Good job, Cullen. All right, Tom, before I let you go, I got to let you give me another expansive answer on why FSU should be in the playoff if they win, and take aim at Kirk Herbstreit, Joel Klatt, et al., Mr. Feinbaum. The floor is yours, my friend. Toast these dudes.
Well, the short answer is the games have to matter, JP. Yes. Why are we playing the first 3 months of the season if you're not going to pay attention to them? Yes. I mean, you and I can have a beer tonight, and we can say, well, that team's the best team and that team's the best team, but that's just our opinion. You got to go out and play the game. Nobody would have taken TCU last year, and they beat Michigan, right? Some of the greatest. Nobody would have taken the '83 Miami Hurricanes over Nebraska in the Orange Bowl. But guess what? That sprung Miami's dynasty under Schnellenberger, right? I mean, you can.
I was there that night. Yes.
But Boise State over Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl was one of the games we remember most, right? Because of the trick plays, and Boise had no business winning that game. So all those reasons, you just don't know what you're going to get. Now, do I think Florida State's going to go score 68 points tomorrow with a second-string quarterback in the rain? No. But if they win the football game, that's the objective, right? They covered the spread last week against Florida, and the other teams in the hunt didn't cover their spread.
Exactly.
I mean, there's just such a fine-tooth comb on this. You did. I tried to give you short-winded, JP, but now you're going to tee me up on it. It's just the thing I've hated the most. The thing I've hated the most, and this will change next year. The way they designed this, there is no way to guarantee yourself entry to the playoff because there's no automatic bid. Now, starting next year, at least you know if you win the ACC, you're going to be in the playoff. Candidly, even if you're 8-4, but you happen to have a good enough record that you went to the conference championship game and you won it, and we could debate whether you want to see an 8-4 team in there or not, but at least there's a path. Right now, the path is hope that the folks on the committee look past the SEC and the Big Ten and recognize that there's other good players and good teams out there, regardless of whether the depth of conference is the same. And by the way, the SEC's depth of conference this year is terrible. All the years when the SEC has been at the top of the food chain, they've earned it. They've cleaned up in the non-conference. This year, they've not done that. I mean, the fact that we're going to discount Texas winning at Alabama imagine being a Longhorn fan right now, JP. You're talking about FSU. What if Alabama does win and FSU still gets in as an unbeaten and that fourth spot goes to Alabama instead of Texas?
Ridiculous.
I mean, it's just silly to me. It's crazy.
Well, let's hope sane people prevail, and our good friend Boo Corrigan is running that deal, so I think we're in good hands, my friend. So that's a pleasure.
Little known fact, it was when you were here. Boo Corrigan worked in the FSU athletic department in the mid-'90s at some point when his dad was running the league.
That's right.
So maybe he'll harken back. Maybe he's still got a garnet and gold FSU sweatshirt somewhere he can wear underneath his suit and tie for the final announcement.
Yeah, Boo and I shared a few alcoholic beverages together. I think you might have been around there somewhere too. Yes, he has some very fond memories of Tallahassee. I can assure you of that. And maybe we've seen a little glimpse of that through some of those interviews. I think we're in good hands. So I think winning you're in. The only thing that I think is up in the air right now is the W, and that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. If we don't win the game, we don't deserve to be in. So I'm fine with it.
And if you're not good enough, a loss will find you, right? That's where we are, and it's a playoff game going. But by the way, I was not of age yet when you and Boo were having cocktails, JP. So I cannot confirm nor deny that I participated.
Maybe that was Dave Neal. I don't know. One of you characters. I don't know who it was. Yeah. All right, Tommy. Have fun with your galoshes on. Kids don't even know what the hell those are. But have a great time in wet Charlotte. Maybe we can move that conference championship game to Tampa. Be a much better venue. That's all I can tell you. All right. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right. See you, man.
At Tom Block, @_Tom Block on the X machine to get his great following there. So I'm much more buoyed now by my son Cullen information and Tom's information.
I totally forgot that Jarvis Brownlee was at Louisville. I'm like, that guy, he was the Jacksonville State guy, no?
He was.
Yeah.
He was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe that's why he left. And he will be targeted. He'll be targeted. Yeah, listen, and I think they're going to roll the dice and they're going to play Keon and Johnny man to man. So, we've lived and died with those one-on-ones all year long. I got no problem with that. No problem with that. Let's run 10. Let's go run 10 go routes each and throw it up. And I'll take my chances with
Wouldn't it be something if FSU just throttled them tomorrow? Could you imagine the reactions from everybody if that happened?
I had a dream that Brock Glenn came out smacking his gum, took the first snap, dropped back and threw 75 yards to Keon Coleman streaking down the middle of the field. And it didn't stop all night. And it ended up about 45-7. And Kirk Herbstreit had to call the game. Who's calling the game? I don't even know who's calling it. I hope it's Herbstreit. I hope Herbie has to sit there and watch that. And then if Florida State and this is entirely possible, folks. I'm not sitting here being an idiot. You've got a banged up offense for Florida State, especially their offensive line. And listen, a couple of sack fumbles and Louisville's very good at this. Gillette, I think, has three of them. I may not be pronouncing his names, but I've seen the dude play. He's long, he's strong. FSU's offensive line has not been great. They could give up 3 or 4 turnovers, which they've given up 5 all year, for God's sakes, 5 all year. That's a half for Jameis Winston, right? I mean, it's It's just it's been incredible. But that can change. That can change dramatically in this game, especially if you got a Tate Rodemaker that's not the first half Tate that we saw last week. I think Tom made some very good points about Tate. He's settled in much like he did last year.
I don't recall like any turnover worthy plays from him either. Like if there's anything, I don't think he didn't put the ball in danger for the most part.
There were a couple of late throws that were like I was like, and I think Mike saw him too and said, okay, we're not gonna. And people were like, "Oh, let it rip." Well, that's why they didn't let it rip. Mike was going to let it.
I don't know. This might be an easier game for him, and we said it.
God, it's going to be absolutely.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Just win in your
Charlotte with. Let's just be honest. It's probably going to be 50,000, 45,000 fans there, evenly split in the rain in Charlotte, 8:00 on Saturday night, right?
Right.
As opposed to the swamp. Are you kidding me? That's what I'm saying. That's why I got to give Tate a bit of a pass. That's a ridiculously hard place to play. Right. I've been there. It's suffocating. And with your entire, season on the line and, you're undefeated, everybody's looking at you. Like I said, I'd be peeing down my leg. So it ain't easy. And, Brock's got some moxie though. And I think Mike Norvell, I don't think there's any question that Brock's been getting snaps this week. You'd be stupid not to, because first of all, Tate's, I saw his eyes roll back in his head after that hit. If you saw the replay,
right? Yeah.
Okay, and that's a clear sign of a serious. I want to say serious, but a not a mild concussion. Let's just put it that way. I was shocked. When he went back in the game. Yeah. I was like, oh, wow, he's back. And then if you're Mike Norvell, there's probably been some residue of those hits this week in practice, and you got to get Brock Glenn ready. You got to get the reason that line went from 5.5 to 1.5 is because somebody else is taking snaps in practice this week, and it's a right. True freshman, and he may have to play. But I'm telling you, in the rain, a guy that can run like that kid, that's who I'm going with. And Mike Norvell has got some packages in there, and he plans on Brock playing anyway. Whether Tate starts or not, I would be shocked. And I think the only way Brock doesn't play is if Tate just rips it, or they get a significant lead, and they just they're going to play safe. But I think you're going to see Brock Glenn at some point on Saturday night, and it could go well, could go poorly. But we'll see. I tell you what, I'm going to have my popcorn ready. That's for damn sure.
All right, we got like 5 minutes left, so I did want to hit you with a hot take that I just had to get off today. This should not be a hot take, but I'm sure it will be. I know you probably didn't watch the Thursday night game last night between the Cowboys and the Seahawks.
I was keeping my eye on it because
it was the best. It was the best Thursday night game of the year. One of the best Thursday night games I've ever seen. And what a coincidence! It's because both teams had the full week of rest going into it. Shocker on that one. But I'm here to tell everybody the MVP of the National Football League is Rain Dakota Prescott. He is the MVP of the NFL, JP. And right now, he's running away with it. He's running away with it. I don't know if that's I don't know if that should be a hot take, but
listen, the Dak is, haters are, I think it's a misplaced. He's a good quarterback. He's not. Everybody has to be Patrick Mahomes. Ain't only one of them, man. There's only one of them. They don't come along very often.
I know. I'm just watching this guy play over the past 7 weeks, and everybody's talking about, he hasn't played anybody. Look at the numbers this guy's putting up. Nobody else is doing it. And I get it, but you know what? The Cowboys without him, Tony Pollard doesn't look like Tony Pollard. Their run game just can't get going, and then their defense this week in this game example just couldn't make a stop until the end of the game against Seattle when they decided not to block Micah Parsons with the game on the line. And Dak just holds them together. And the ball placement, it's incredible. This should not be a hot take, but it is. Dak Prescott is your MVP right now. He is the MVP favorite. And who thought we'd be saying that?
Yeah, well, good for him. And I still think the Niners and the Eagles are the class of the division.
We're going to see it this week.
We're going to see it
4 o'clock on Sunday.
Cannot. Which, by the way, I heard somebody told me last night that we blacked out here locally because the Bucks enforced the blackout.
Yeah, we got screwed. Because they wanted the 49ers Eagles to go unopposed to any other game in the network.
So they picked the worst game.
So they put the Bucks and the Panthers in that time slot, so nobody else outside of this market and in Charlotte has to see it.
That's funny. That's kind of funny when you think about it. I'm going to hit some of the comments here before we get out of here. By the way, shout out to Pete, who I saw in the Chase Club last night, the Channel Club, who listens every day. Thank you, Pete. We love you. And appreciate you coming up and saying hi and telling me you love the show. We love to hear that. So I did watch a little bit of the game from the confines of the Channel Club on my phone because we couldn't get it because it was Amazon. Sounds like Glass now is good as gone. Nick, what you thinking about all these trade rumors for Paredes, Glass now, and possibly Randy? We kind of addressed that, but if you want to throw another shot out there.
I would just I don't want to trade Isak Paredes. Glass now seems like a foregone conclusion. It's going to happen.
Just get something for him, for God's sakes.
I guess everything depends on the return, right? But I would rather the Rays just add to what they have, personally.
Yeah. James says hostile environment coupled with the LT and RT being out is a reason Tate was in La Land. Plus, let's not forget the stupid-ass calls from the ACC refs. I'm fine if Norvell throws Brock in. I heard the tackles might play. Yeah, as we heard from Tom Block, those guys may play. It's a must-win for the Bucks because they need to get their head straight in righting the ship instead of being known for their lackadaisical play so far. Absolutely. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm almost just like, they come out and show what you are as a man and as a football player. You don't lose to the freaking 1-10 Panthers. That's why Joel Klatt has no idea about FSU football. Blame Norvell for the 230 total yards. He played it conservative. Thank goodness for Greg McElroy, who says FSU will be in. I agree. Bucks Rays Bolt says Bowles gets fired if they lose the game. I hope so. That's about time. What else we got in here? On the Rays, if the Rays become the St. Pete Rays, that ends my support of the team. Might as well move if the team at that point, nobody in St. Pete cares for that team. Exactly. 100%. That's just stupid. Rick Baker, love you, man, but stop that. If you take the showmanship away from Randy's game, he starts, his stats are all right, but they aren't elite, but that doesn't mean he's a great asset to have on this team. I'm tired of the lotto ticket prospect fetish. Yeah, that's one thing I just hate about the Rays. The next prospect is always the most important thing to them. And you can't consistently win and you can't do anything in the playoffs if that's your modus operandi, so to speak. All right. Great stuff, Nick Geddes. Appreciate you, my friend. We had a great time talking Tampa Bay sports as we do each and every day here. Tell all your friends, tell your enemies. It's the JP Peterson Show every day from 10 to noon. Watch us on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube page, Facebook and Twitter, fanstreamsports.com. Download our app if you haven't done that, and also listen to us on Apple and on Spotify, although I heard Spotify's got issues. So we're going to check on that. But thank you all. Have a great weekend. Go Bolts and go Noles this weekend. Talk to you Monday.